There's one book in human history that claims to have answers to every big question about how the universe began. But because of these answers, this book was banned and disappeared for more than 2,000 years. This book, the Book of Enoch, is one of the most controversial books ever, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you why. We first hear about Enoch in Genesis 5 in the Bible. All it says is that Enoch made God so happy that he didn't die. God took him straight to heaven. But this raises a lot of questions. Who was this man who lived so well that even death couldn't touch him? A lot of church leaders from the 2nd and 3rd centuries talked about the Book of Enoch. For the first 300 years after Christ, people read and valued this book a lot. But then, the Council of Laodicea declared it wrong and dangerous. After that, the Book of Enoch was banned and it vanished. Over time, people forgot about it. By the 1400s, during the Protestant Reformation, whispers began that the Book of Enoch might still exist. But all of this was just a rumor, until a Scottish explorer named James Bruce discovered the Book of Enoch in an Orthodox church in Ethiopia. When experts examined it, they estimated it was written between 300 and 100 BC. The Book of Enoch has 5 parts, describing Enoch's vision of heaven, his encounters with angels called the Watchers, and his predictions about the end of the world. James Bruce brought back 3 copies, and in 1821, the first English translation appeared. More fragments were later found in a cave in Qumran in 1946, among the famous Dead Sea Scrolls. Some believe the Book of Enoch might be one of the oldest writings ever and may have influenced the Bible. Writings in the New Testament directly quote Enoch. The Book of Genesis and Enoch 1 share similar stories, like when angels took human wives and had children with them. Here's what Genesis says. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. The Book of Enoch, specifically the Book of the Watchers, chapters 1 to 36, expand on this narrative, and if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it for yourself. Many think the Book of Enoch reveals hidden truths about ancient times. It describes Enoch's visits to secret places on earth and in heaven, like Sheol, which is a place for the dead, the abyss, the holy mountains, and the homes of the angels. Some even claim it talks about the first contact between humans and aliens. Now, I know how this sounds, but the Book of Enoch does go into detail about Enoch meeting with the Watchers, and they were said to come down from the sky to interact with people. Enoch described them like this: "While I was alone in my house, 2 men of great size stood before me. Their faces shone like the sun. Their clothes and voices were beautiful." Some researchers who subscribe to the idea of aliens influencing ancient people think the Watchers might have been aliens. Enoch also described how they traveled. They used something called chariots of fire. These chariots had spinning wheels that looked like flames and made loud noises like thunder, and they moved incredibly fast. I don't know about you, but to me that sounds like the modern definition of a UFO, or a UAP as they call it nowadays. Even people who don't follow the Bible or know about the Book of Enoch have described these flying objects, and some of the stories are incredibly compelling. Some of them, like Commander David Fravor, have brought a lot of awareness to these events, and if you don't know who David Fravor is, he's known for recording the famous Tic Tac UFO. Interestingly, the Sumerians, one of the oldest civilizations from Mesopotamia, also talked about beings from the sky. These were the Anunnaki, and their legends say that these beings came down to Earth and mingled with humans, just like Enoch described. The Sumerians also studied the stars and were the first to write down their language, so their stories are taken seriously. If you want to know more about the Anunnaki, I'll link the video that I made about them below. There are some who even believe these beings help humans build massive structures, like the Great Pyramids, aligning them perfectly with the stars. This is the constellation of Orion correlation with the pyramids of Giza. While some believe Enoch met aliens, Most Bible scholars think the Watchers were angels. These angels had one job: to watch over humans without interfering. But they disobeyed God. Instead of watching from heaven, they came down to earth because they wanted to be with women. Led by their leader Samyasa, they married human women and had children called the Nephilim. And actually, I just made a video around that topic, which I'll link below. The Nephilim were half angel, half human giants. Massive, powerful beings who caused chaos. They ate everything in sight, and when food ran out, they started attacking animals and eventually humans. Some think these giants inspired myths like the Cyclops in Greek mythology. According to Hesiod, a Greek poet, the Cyclops were the children of Uranus, the sky god, and Gaia, the earth goddess. This is similar to the Watchers, representing the sky, having children with human women, representing the earth. The Nephilim caused so much chaos on earth that the natural order was ruined, and conflict was everywhere. The only way to fix things was to restart, and with that came the flood. The flood wasn't just punishment for humanity, but to purge the earth of all impurities like the Nephilim. Their birth, their existence were seen as unnatural, and they needed to be destroyed. Their presence brought more sin and evil than the world had ever seen before. There's even been reports of alleged giant skeletons to have been found in different places around the world. Huge skulls and bones that don't look human. These discoveries seem to support the idea that a race of giants once existed. Now, all this could be just a fun story, but there are things about the Book of Enoch that have some truth to them. One section, called the Book of Dream Visions, talks about the creation of Israel as a nation. Enoch even predicted the flood itself. He was told to warn his great-grandson Noah, and it was so that he told the archangel Uriel, "Go to Noah and tell him in my name to hide. Let him know that the earth will be destroyed, and a great flood is coming to wipe out everything. Instruct him so that he and his family can survive, and their descendants will live on." Modern interpretations of this massive flood link the myths and the stories to the events of the Younger Dryas around 13,000 years ago. And if you're interested in that topic, I really recommend researching it. It's a fun rabbit hole for sure. The Book of Enoch has survived for thousands of years, but it remains a topic of debate. Why was it banned from the Bible? It was once very popular, read by many people in ancient times, but today, only the Ethiopian and Eritrean Orthodox churches consider it a holy book. There are two main reasons for this. First, most of the Book of Enoch wasn't actually written by Enoch himself. It's believed to have been written at different times by different authors, with the newest parts dating to around 300 BC. This means much of what's in the book could just be made-up stories. Back in ancient times, it was common for people to write books and pretend a famous figure like Enoch was the author. In the case of the Book of Enoch, it's believed these stories were written 3,000 to 4,000 years after Enoch lived. There is agreement among scholars that the biblical Enoch didn't actually write the book, so it's possible that the majority of the book is false. The second reason it was rejected is that the book is full of inconsistencies, which made it seem less reliable. Now, in my opinion, these inconsistencies are not necessarily inconsistencies, they're just different versions of the story. For example, in the Bible, the main villain is always the devil. He's called Satan, Lucifer, or other names, but it's always the same being. Other demons are mentioned, but they aren't as important as the devil. In the Book of Enoch, however, the blame for the world's problems is placed on a demon named Azazel, which is very different from the Bible's view that Satan is the root of all sin and evil. Another big difference is that the Book of Enoch suggests that the fallen angels, like Azazel, repented for their sins. But the Bible says Satan and his angels will be punished in hell forever, with no chance of forgiveness. This portrayal of fallen angels as beings capable of remorse introduces a new take in the concept of divine justice and redemption. It suggests that even those who have committed great transgressions might have a chance to seek forgiveness, adding complexity to the narrative of sin and punishment. In stark contrast, the Bible presents Satan and his angels as beyond redemption, They are described as wholly evil, having willfully chosen rebellion against God, and their fate is depicted as eternal damnation in hell. Passages such as Matthew 25:41 and Revelation 20:10 emphasize their unchangeable destiny to suffer punishment forever. This fundamental difference highlights a key difference in theological perspectives, raising questions about the nature of sin and the possibility of reconciliation with God. The origins of these differences can also be attributed to the nature of the texts themselves. The Bible, particularly the New Testament, presents a more unified theological framework shaped over centuries by a tradition of canonization and interpretation. The Book of Enoch, on the other hand, is more fragmented. Written by multiple authors over an extended period of time, it contains a mixture of mythological, theological, and historical elements. This makes it difficult to pinpoint a single coherent intention behind its stories. Was it meant as an allegory, a theological commentary, or an alternative history of the world? This duality surrounding its purpose has made it a subject of much debate among scholars and believers alike. Some view it as unreliable due to its exclusion from most versions of the biblical canon, while others see it as a valuable window into early Jewish thought and the diverse ways people understood the divine. Ultimately, both the Bible and the Book of Enoch are ancient texts whose origins and truths cannot be definitely proven by modern standards of evidence. Belief in either of them comes down to faith, and faith is completely personal. For some, the Book of Enoch's divergence from the Bible is reason enough to dismiss it, but that argument seems a little bit weak in my opinion. Dismissing a text simply because it differs from another overlooks the broader historical and cultural value it offers. Whether or not one believes in the divine inspiration of the Book of Enoch, it provides another perspective on some of the same questions the Bible addresses. It challenges readers to think more deeply about the origins of evil, the role of free will, and the possibility of redemption. In this way, it complements the Bible rather than outright contradicting it. Leaving all the debate about the validity aside, the Book of Enoch has helped people understand ancient history in a better way. When you read it alongside other ancient texts, you start to notice similarities. It makes you wonder if some of these stories might be based on real events told in different ways by different cultures. Whether it's a true account or just a collection of stories, the Book of Enoch is still a fascinating book. It helps us think about how connected human cultures are, so much that we might share a very disturbing past, one about giants, a flood, and a rebirth of civilization, and that all that might have been preserved through many stories in a very curious and controversial book. Thank you so much for joining me for today's tale. If you had fun or learned anything, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, or share this video with someone else. It's a very small button for you, and a gigantic leap for my channel. Until the next tale, farewell, and may the gods smile upon you.